Have you ever wondered when humans stopped being wanderers and started building the world we know today? It all began with a revolutionary idea: the city. This wasn't just a bigger village, it was a complete transformation of society. The moment humanity decided to put down roots and build something permanent. The first cities were more than just collections of buildings. They were the engines of power, culture, and progress, setting the stage for everything that followed. Let us journey back in time to explore how these incredible urban centers were born and how they forever changed the course of human history. For thousands of years, our ancestors lived in small, mobile groups, but the agricultural revolution changed everything. As people learned to cultivate crops and domesticate animals, they could finally settle in one place. Small farming villages began to pop up, and with a stable food supply, populations grew. These weren't just temporary camps anymore. They were permanent homes, but with more people came more complexity. They needed ways to organize themselves, store their surplus grain, and protect their communities from outsiders. This led to a radical new concept: planned living. Instead of scattered huts, people started building structured settlements with designated areas for homes, storage, and public life. This was the crucial step from a simple village to the dawn of the city. The very first true cities emerged in Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, around 6,000 years ago. Places like Uruk and Ur are often called the cradles of civilization, and for good reason. Uruk, for example, grew into a massive metropolis with tens of thousands of inhabitants, surrounded by monumental walls. It was a bustling center of trade and religion. But this urban explosion wasn't just happening there. Along the Nile River in Egypt, cities like Memphis and Thebes rose as centers of pharaonic power. Over in the Indus Valley, the cities of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa displayed incredible sophistication with their grid-like street plans and advanced water systems. And in ancient China, cities along the Yellow River began to take shape, laying the foundations for future dynasties. Each of these regions independently discovered the power of urban living. Building a city from scratch required incredible ingenuity. In Mesopotamia, where stone was scarce, people mastered the art of making mud bricks. They built multi-story houses, packed tightly together along narrow, winding streets. To protect their wealth and people, they constructed massive defensive walls, some so thick they were legendary. But it wasn't just about homes and walls. These early city dwellers were the world's first urban planners. They created organized street layouts, sometimes even separating residential areas from craft workshops. Most importantly, they built public structures that served the entire community. Grand temples called ziggurats dominated the skyline, acting as religious and administrative centers. Huge granaries stored surplus food, ensuring the city's survival. They even developed early drainage and sanitation systems to manage waste and water, a challenge that cities still face today. The birth of cities triggered an economic revolution. For the first time, not everyone had to be a farmer. The surplus food produced in the surrounding countryside could support a whole new class of people: craftsmen, merchants, priests, and soldiers. Artisans specialized in pottery, metalworking, and weaving, creating goods that were both beautiful and functional. Merchants organized long-distance trade networks, exchanging local products for rare materials like timber, stone, and precious metals from faraway lands. This booming trade required a system of regulation. To ensure fairness, leaders introduced standardized weights and measures. Suddenly, a shekel of silver or a bushel of grain had a consistent value across the region. This economic complexity was a direct result of urban life, creating a dynamic system of production and exchange that fueled further growth. With new jobs and more wealth came a new social order. The egalitarian structure of small villages gave way to a complex social hierarchy. At the top were the rulers, kings, and high priests who held immense power and were often seen as intermediaries to the gods. Below them were elite classes of warriors, scribes, and wealthy merchants. The vast majority of the population consisted of farmers, laborers, and craftsmen who formed the backbone of the urban economy. This stratification led to the birth of organized governance. Leaders needed to manage resources, settle disputes, and organize large-scale projects like building temples or digging irrigation canals. To maintain order, they created the world's first legal codes, like the famous Code of Hammurabi, which set out laws and punishments for everyone to follow. Politics was born in the streets of the first cities. Cities weren't just centers of power and commerce. They were incubators for culture and intellect. With a complex society to manage, people needed a way to keep track of goods, laws, and history. This need gave rise to one of humanity's greatest inventions: writing. Early scripts, like cuneiform in Mesopotamia and hieroglyphs in Egypt, started as simple pictographs for record-keeping but quickly evolved to express complex ideas. This ability to record information transformed society, allowing for the creation of literature, the documentation of history, and the preservation of knowledge across generations. Art and music flourished as well, with craftsmen creating intricate sculptures and musicians playing at religious ceremonies in royal courts. Grand temples were not only places of worship but also served as cultural hubs, preserving the collective memory and identity of the city's people. Of course, with wealth and resources concentrated in one place, cities became tempting targets. Defense was a primary concern. The massive walls surrounding cities like Uruk weren't just for show, they were essential for survival. These fortifications were monumental engineering feats, designed to repel invaders and protect the city's inhabitants and its precious grain stores. To man these walls and project power beyond them, cities developed the first organized military forces. Armies of trained soldiers, equipped with bronze weapons and chariots, became a key feature of urban states. This led to a new kind of conflict. Wars were no longer small-scale skirmishes between tribes but organized. Campaigns between city-states vying for control of land, water, and trade routes. The city became the cornerstone of territorial power. So what was it like to actually live in one of these first cities? For the average person, life was a mix of opportunity and hardship. Homes were often small, multi-room structures made of mud brick, clustered together along narrow alleyways. The central marketplace was the heart of the city, a vibrant, noisy place where people gathered to trade goods, socialize, and hear the latest news. Family was the core unit of society, with specific roles for men, women, and children, all contributing to the household economy. Daily routines were dictated by the sun and the needs of the city, whether that meant working in a craft workshop, tending a nearby field, or participating in a religious festival. While public infrastructure was rudimentary by our standards, the very existence of shared spaces, public and rudimentary water systems represented a massive leap in communal living. However, life in the first cities was far from perfect. Packing thousands of people into a small area created brand new problems. Overcrowding was common, and sanitation was a major challenge. With no modern sewage systems, waste often accumulated in the streets, leading to the rapid spread of disease. Epidemics could sweep through a city with devastating speed. Social inequality also created tension. The gap between the wealthy elite and the working poor was vast, and this could lead to social unrest. Furthermore, the intense agriculture and resource consumption needed to support a city could lead to environmental degradation, such as soil depletion and deforestation. These were the growing pains of civilization, challenges that cities have continued to grapple with throughout history. Despite these challenges, the legacy of the first cities is undeniable. They laid the foundation for virtually every aspect of modern urban life. The concepts of urban planning, public infrastructure, specialized labor, and written law all began here. These ancient cities served as the models for the great empires and nations that would follow, from Rome to the modern world. They represented a permanent transformation of human society, shifting our existence from a life dictated by nature to one shaped by human design. More than anything, the first cities are a testament to human ambition and our remarkable ability to organize and cooperate on a massive scale. In the end, the rise of the first cities marks the moment when humanity began to build its own world. It was a declaration that we were no longer just inhabitants of the earth, but its shapers. In the mud bricks of Uruk and the planned streets of Mohenjo-Daro, we can see the blueprint for our own urban reality. Civilization became visible, carved in stone and molded from clay. This was the true beginning of history as we know it, a story of structured power, collective memory, and the unending human drive to build something greater than ourselves. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey back in time fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about our incredible past.